And here we go.
We're live.
We're live. We're live on YouTube.
How's
What's
it
up,
going?
everybody? This is the WWE Extreme Rules post show. I'm Dave.
I'm Ben.
This is my brother stepping in, taking over for Johnny North tonight. I'm just going to tweet out the link at Dave Simon MMA on Twitter if you're not already following me. People are watching this live on YouTube. And, of course, the podcast at ringsidereport.net, wrestlinguncensored.net. You know the deal. So WWE Extreme Rules just went down. It's in the books. It was
It was long.
it was pretty long. It wasn't the best pay-per-view. What did you guys think of WWE Extreme Rules? On 10, what do you give it? I'll give it about a 6, I guess.
I was thinking that, like a 5 or a 6. Had some interesting spots and a couple interesting matchups, but not really that remarkable throughout. I'd say my highlight, though, definitely, and I think everyone's highlight, what we'll be talking about most from this pay-per-view, is Kevin Owens taking that huge bump. Being thrown from the steel cage to the table. That's got to be 15 feet in the air. It's pretty crazy.
That was a big, big bump from Kevin Owens. And I think that was my match of the night. AJ Rusev was pretty close. I thought they had a really good match. But I think just because of the finish to that Kevin Owens match, that's the match of the night. That's the most memorable moment for me. Wrestling's all about creating moments, and Kevin Owens created the moment that I think is going to last the longest when we think back of Extreme Rules 2018. What was your match of the night?
Want to hear your opinions.
Antoinette says, thank God France won because this pay-per-view sucked. She gives it a 4. And yes, thank God France did win the World Cup today. We're going to add another star to this jersey. A second star for the second World Cup victory. So, Ali Lebleu, very happy to see France win the World Cup today.
Congratulations. Big win.
Antoinette's not happy with this pay-per-view. She didn't think it was very good. I didn't think the main event was very good. Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins. And I think that's going to leave us on a sour note. You know, the main event has to deliver. The main event has to be something where you walk away from the pay-per-view saying, oh my goodness, that was incredible. And for me, I was not blown away with the Iron Man match tonight for the Intercontinental title. Dolph Ziggler retaining. And the way he did it was just like little distraction from Drew McIntyre, who was banished from ringside earlier. McIntyre comes back. He distracts Dolph Ziggler. Or he distracts Rollins. And then Ziggler, hits a zigzag 1, 2, 3, and it's over. Like, it wasn't a very creative finish. I don't think they did anything in the match that really merited a main event spot. I was not impressed with this Iron Man match.
Yeah, it was barely even a main event for Raw. Like, they kind of hit their similar spots. It felt very Raw, that match. Just kind of like similar, the big Falcon Arrow suplex spot Rollins does, and Ziggler hitting his usual spots, the super kicks back and forth. Just felt very average Monday Night Raw. Like, they're not really bringing it for the Iron Man match, despite all the hype they did on Twitter and everything, saying this is gonna be a great match, be one of the greatest Iron Mans of all time.
Yeah, well, that's
really
kind of
delivered.
That's kind of the thing with the WWE. I mean, they gave him this spot, they gave him the Iron Man match, they gave him the main event of Extreme Rules because they figured it would blow people away. They figured that this match would be unbelievable, and it just wasn't. Because the WWE, I think they put too much stock in the ability of Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. They're not that good. They're just not. Like, they're okay, I don't want to rag on Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins. Like, I don't want to turn it into some of that. But, there's a reason why Ziggler has never got to that next level. Promos are a problem. Like you saw on Raw this week, his promo was not good. And, the match tonight, it was an opportunity to blow the wrestling world away. And I don't think anybody's blown away by the match tonight from Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. And these two guys are supposed to be some of your top workers in the company. I wasn't super impressed with anything that they did tonight. JJ Mondesi says AJ Rusev was the match of the night. I think you could make a strong case for that being match of the night. I thought Kevin Owens, just the bump he took off the cage, was just so amazing. But as far as match quality, like the best wrestling match, AJ Rusev was very good. I think you can make a case for that being match of the night too.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I also like the Raw Women's Title match. Nia and Alexa. It was like a big, a lot of salad dressing, as Jerry North likes to say, in that match with Ronda chasing Mickey James around and a couple of big spots. But
I enjoyed that.
it was entertaining to watch.
It was fun.
I liked it a lot better than Asuka and Carmelo's match. I thought that was pretty unremarkable.
JJ Mondesi says with a minute left, Ziggler was running away. If Seth would have let him, he would have scored a count-out victory. Why didn't he do that? He could have just won 5-4. Good point.
Yeah, well, you never let your opponent, just count out.
Yeah, Seth doesn't want to win that way.
Fight in the ring.
Seth needs to fight and win clean because he's a babyface.
Yeah, he has too much honor.
That's right. Sasha Lagarde checking in. He says the crowd kind of ruined any momentum. They were disinterested. And yeah, the crowd was not into the match. They were more into counting down every minute.
Wasn't it Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I know. They were counting down like it was a Royal Rumble. Well, I think the point was they were waiting for it to end.
There's one way of looking
like,
at it.
I was watching that match and I was looking at the clock and I was like, okay, 18 more minutes of this, 12 more minutes of this, 5 more minutes of this. And then when it was 4-4 and the match was coming to an end, I was like, uh-oh, this isn't going to be over. And then they had a little overtime period, but
they still even went with the finish of like, oh, if it's a tie, the victory goes to the champion. But that's not how it went down for like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Bret was kind of walking away, and they're like, the champion must return. This match is over.
Well, I think Gorilla Monsoon came at that point, didn't he?
Like intervened?
Yeah, Gorilla Monsoon came out
Okay.
at WrestleMania during the Bret Shawn Iron match. When that ended in a tie, Bret was walking away, but Gorilla was like, no, you got to go back. We have to have a winner. Similar to what happened tonight with Kurt Angle. It's a similar deal.
Right.
When Dolph Ziggler was walking away, I was thinking, hey, Bret and Shawn ended in a draw, and Bret had to go back. Bret getting screwed again by the WWE. Always screwing Bret over.
Big love to the Hitman.
JJ Mondesi says Kevin Owens was the moment of the night. Yeah, for sure. That bump was incredible. Kevin Owens, every pay-per-view he's on, he's stealing the show, doing some sort of crazy fall. Last pay-per-view Money in the Bank, he took that crazy fall off the ladder. This time, another huge bump off the steel cage through a table. I don't know how he's surviving all of this, but he's definitely keeping his name out there, keeping himself relevant in the WWE by doing these big spots, and that's what he needs.
Yeah, I hope he's staying healthy. It makes me wonder about his longevity. He's taking all these big bumps, like month after month, and he's probably doing big spots at house shows too to impress.
I don't think he's not doing like that at house shows,
He's probably taking some nasty table spots.
He's a tough guy, though.
Yeah, but
he's a tough guy. Watch New Japan. Watch New Japan. They go through much worse. They don't do big bumps like that, but like just the head drops and the neck bumps that they take. Guys are tough. Guys are durable. Kevin Owens is all right. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, he took the bump on the table pretty well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he took that bump perfectly.
When they showed in slow motion, you could see him twisting his body so that he can kind of like take the shock better.
Kevin Owens landed right between the two monitors. Like he landed perfectly on that announce table for the minimum amount of damage. I mean, obviously it didn't tickle. It hurt, but
he's a tough guy. It's very tough.
JJ Mondesi says he thinks they got to slow down on these bumps. And I saw some people saying that they got to do that, but it's a steel cage match. Kevin Owens beat Braun Strowman. If you're going to beat Braun Strowman, you're going to have to do something to impress so you continue on that path and continue going forward. Careers can be made off bumps like this.
Yeah. It's also in Pittsburgh.
Mick Foley's career was made off a bump like this. And yeah, like you're saying, it was in Pittsburgh tonight.
20 years ago.
And 20 years ago, almost to the day, I think a couple weeks. Yeah. But 20 years ago in Pittsburgh, Mankind was tossed off the Hell in a Cell by The Undertaker. And you look at Mick Foley's career, changed by bumps like that. So it's rough, but it's it's the way it is.
Hopefully one of Kevin Owens' teeth isn't in his nose right
now. Sasha Lagarde says Jeff Hardy must be legit hurt. Antoinette says Jeff is hurt and leaving the WWE. I don't know about that. I don't know if he's leaving the WWE.
Could be hurt.
I don't know. Matt and Jeff both dropped their titles tonight.
Makes you wonder. Wonder what their plans for them are.
I don't know. It would make sense if they signed like a 2-year deal that it would be coming up.
Almost. I mean, it's been about a year and a half since they joined. It was last year's Mania.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what the deal is with the Hardys. I'd be surprised to see them leave the WWE at this point. I feel like they've been treated pretty well and they've been given good spots in the company. No real reason to leave.
I'd like to see Matt pursue a solo run. Maybe Bray is hurt, and they could break up the Deleters of Worlds, and Matt can just fully more focus on his broken character.
Yeah, I feel
Bray's sinking him down.
I feel like maybe Bray is still hurt a bit, and that's why the Hardy and Bray dropped the title to the B team. And I have heard that Jeff is hurt, and that's probably why his match with Shinsuke was so short. But I don't think he's leaving the WWE. I haven't heard anything. I hope he's staying.
Maybe one last hurrah at SummerSlam.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I hope the Hardys stick around. They're great. I don't want to see them leave. And JJ Mondesi says he doesn't want to see Kevin Owens go the route of Mick Foley. Neither do I. I'm not saying he has to do what Mick Foley did, but doing things in that vein doesn't hurt your career long term in the WWE.
You are
It helps.
remembered.
Yeah, it keeps you remembered and it keeps fans thinking about you. It's not the worst thing you can do.
Worked for Edge.
As long as you can stay somewhat healthy while doing it, if they let you do it, go for it. Paul M. says he was hoping for a Shinsuke Hardy U.S. Championship feud, not Orton Shinsuke. And yeah, I agree with that. I'm not super excited to see Randy Orton wrestle Shinsuke Nakamura. But if Jeff Hardy's going to be out of the picture for a little bit, nursing some injuries, you know, Randy was going to come back at some point. And as long as Shinsuke beats Randy, I really don't have a problem with it.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Why not?
It's going to SummerSlam. It's one of the big four. That's usually a time for a Randy victory, especially he's coming back from like some time off. You know, Randy's just one of those guys.
What are you playing the role of Johnny North here tonight? Pro Randy, what's the deal?
I've watched enough wrestling to know.
Yeah.
When Randy Orton's coming back, the fans love the RKO for some reason, and I don't know, they don't seem to, treat Shinsuke that high. This is his first championship. His first title.
Yeah, this is his first title on the main roster. He was NXT champion. But yeah, it's his first title on the main roster in WWE. I hope it's not short-lived like one pay-per-view from Extreme Rules to SummerSlam. But feuding with Randy Orton, it could happen with one RKO, right?
Yeah,
so
transitional champion. And then they'll just have a continuing feud after where Shinsuke's chasing and ultimately does not get the title and then goes off to do something else. I could see that happening, definitely. Especially when you're booked in a feud with Randy. It's hard to come out looking good after that.
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope you're wrong, but the WWE, that's kind of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I see a comment here from 2345 Teeth. He says a few months from now, WWE is gonna have to work in the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. He says next year they're coming to the WWE. I would not be so sure of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega coming to the WWE in 2019. I think Kenny Omega right now, as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, has a lot of stuff to do and a lot of good business to make, and being tied down to the WWE and being under their rule, being under the rule of Triple H and Vince McMahon, I don't think that's the move that Kenny Omega wants to make. I don't think that's going to be a world-changing type deal. Kenny Omega wants to change the world. He's doing things bigger than professional wrestling. He's changing the way we look at professional wrestling. At least he's trying to. And going to the WWE is not going to do that. Kenny Omega is too much of an artist to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling right now. Kenny Omega is Ichiban, number one. If you saw him and Naito at the G1 yesterday, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking about staying up all night and watching night 3 of the G1 because the G1 has been spectacular. And that's something I was telling you earlier, I spent the past couple of days watching the G1 from New Japan, and then I watched this Extreme Rules stuff, and it's like, this just doesn't cut the mustard. Not as good as what New Japan is doing right now.
Also, like we were talking about earlier, that if Kenny Omega did go to WWE, like, it kind of feels like he would. Like, it's kind of like it's like a Monday Night Wars kind of thinking. Like after a certain amount of time, someone's just gonna jump ship and go to this brand, like just have a run in the Fed. Like it has that kind of feel. Like we still kind of have that thinking. But if Kenny Omega did make a jump, he'd probably be like doing long jobs like Seth Rollins or
Yeah.
Roman Reigns or Dolph Ziggler.
Just because somebody makes a name outside of the WWE, I think wrestling fans automatically think, oh, well, they're going to come to the WWE. And I think we need to rethink that. That doesn't need to happen, and I don't think it really should happen. Especially not with Omega. Maybe the Bucks. I think the Bucks might work. It might not be the worst thing if they went to the WWE, but I don't think Kenny Omega should go. At least not in the next year. Maybe 2 years, you know? Maybe eventually. I'm not saying never, but I don't think it's the right move for him. We have to see... A lot of comments are coming, and I'm trying to follow all your comments, guys. There's a lot of stuff coming through. I'm trying to read as much as possible. He thinks Lawazi, I love this game, says, I think Roman Reigns must rematch again. What do you guys think? Like, Roman Reigns...
And Bobby Lashley rematch.
And he's saying, what do you think about Roman Reigns? Please answer, bro. So Lawazi really wants me to answer. I think Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley in a rematch is not really a good idea. I don't need to see that. I didn't think that their match tonight was particularly good. I was surprised by the finish. Very surprised to see Bobby Lashley hit a spear 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. I predicted the other way around. Roman Reigns hitting a spear on Lashley 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. But Bobby Lashley beating Roman Reigns is real interesting. I was surprised to see Roman lose clean tonight. I didn't think the match was the best match on the card, but, you know, it was decent for what those two guys are. And I am excited about the possibility of Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I think that's a cool match. It's never been done. Two big, jacked guys. Two guys that have fought at heavyweight in MMA with some success. Two of the most legitimate fighters on the WWE roster right now. Who's more legit? If you were going to try and find the most legit fighter to put up against Brock Lesnar in the WWE, who better than Bobby Lashley right now? Who's the more legitimate, real fighter other than Bobby Lashley?
I mean, Chad Gable's not in his weight class. And
Chad Gable's too small. Chad Gable's too small. Chad Gable went to the Olympics in wrestling. He's got a legit shoot background, you know. Dolph Ziggler is a decent amateur wrestler. He's not Chad Gable, but, you know, he's decent. But, look, Bobby Lashley is the only guy his size, Brock's size, that can hang with Brock from a real fighting standpoint. So a wrestling match at SummerSlam, to me, that's a good sell. I'm into that. I'm way more into that than Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar again. So I'm happy with it.
And with the clean victory, it seems like they are showcasing Lashley for that kind of Brock Lesnar marquee match, especially Lashley showing a wide variety of suplexes, kind of maybe saying like, you know, one day he's going to do these to Brock. You know, it provides an interesting kind of storyline to that. You know, Suplex City versus a different kind of Suplex City.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Brock to suplex Bobby. It's going to be an interesting match. The thing is with Brock in the WWE is he can hit people, he can bully them, and the guys he's doing that to can't really fight back because they don't have the technical ability. They don't have the real skills to fight back against Brock Lesnar, but Bobby does. And I know I'm seeing comments here on YouTube. Lawazi says Bobby sucks, and Antoinette doesn't like Bobby Lashley.
I mean, he is kind of bland.
And JJ Mondesi doesn't like Bobby Lashley. And look, I'm not a huge fan of Bobby Lashley's or anything, but you guys got to look at who Bobby Lashley really is and what he represents to a guy like Brock Lesnar. Bobby Lashley is the only guy in the WWE who's had success in mixed martial arts, in real combat. So to go up against Brock Lesnar, Brock's whole gimmick is that he's a UFC fighter. Brock was just at the UFC. Brock's going to be the next #1 contender for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. He's going to fight Daniel freaking Cormier.
That's crazy.
So Bobby Lashley is the best opponent for Brock right now. And if you can't see that, that's okay. You know, if you don't want to see it, whatever, it's not for you. But for anybody in MMA, for any MMA fan, if they hear that it's going to be Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, they'll be like, maybe I'll check this out. Maybe. You know? Depends what Ronda's doing. But if you have Lashley Lesnar at SummerSlam and then Ronda versus somebody at SummerSlam, you might get some of that crossover appeal from UFC fans.
It's kind of like the reverse effect of like what Brock brought to the UFC.
You got to bring in as many people as possible. And you got to give us a good, credible opponent for Brock Lesnar. And if Brock is walking away to go to MMA, who better than Bobby Lashley to kind of take that role of the new Brock Lesnar, the new MMA fighter in the WWE? It just makes sense. It just makes sense. I'm sorry.
Like
people don't like it. I'm seeing people don't like it, but it's just the way it is.
The cupboard's pretty bare. You know, there's not that many guys that you could put up against Brock to look like a legitimate threat. That's just the truth about it. You know, Bobby's not the most interesting guy. You know, he's not as, you know, you can't get behind him as easily as you could, like a Finn Balor or Seth Rollins or something like that. But Bobby is the most credible seeming guy right now to go up against Brock.
Yeah. Bobby is a legit guy, you know, and this is his time. He just came back to the WWE. He just beat Roman. This is the time to put him up against Brock. And I'm seeing here people think that Braun Strowman will probably cash in at SummerSlam. I agree. I think Braun Strowman will cash in. And Lashley will either beat Brock just barely, or Brock will beat Lashley and then Strowman will cash in, or Strowman will cash in during the match between Lashley and Brock. But I'm thinking right now it's going to be Brock versus Bobby for the Universal title. And I do expect Strowman to cash in at some point during that match or after and walk away from SummerSlam as the Universal Champion. I think Brock is going to drop the title at SummerSlam, and Braun is probably going to be the guy to walk away with it. Whether he beats Brock or Bobby Lashley, we'll see. But I do think that Braun Strowman is walking away Universal Champion after SummerSlam.
Yeah. And SummerSlam is the time when Money in the Bank contracts usually get cashed in. I think Randy Orton cashed his in on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. I think Del Rio cashed his in on CM Punk at SummerSlam also. So there's a history of cash-ins at SummerSlam. So yeah, I can very easily see.
Yeah, it makes sense. And if Brock Lesnar's going to the UFC, if he's going to really go and fight and concentrate on that, he needs to drop the Universal title. Like, it's enough already. The guy never shows up. He shows up in the UFC more often. He shows up in the WWE now. Like, it's enough here.
He's got a big smile on his face when he's in the UFC. He looks really happy to be there. Like,
yeah.
in WWE, he looks completely miserable. Like, he's just going through the motions. In UFC, he's, like, shaking hands, slight high fives. He's swearing. He's just freewheeling. He's having a good time.
Brock is in pro wrestling for the money. He's in the UFC because he likes to beat people up.
Yeah.
Two different things. I get it. I love Brock. In the UFC, he's a lot of fun. In the WWE, he's absent.
Yeah. It's a hard spot, isn't it?
People not happy about Rusev losing the match. You know, we expected it to happen. AJ's having a hell of a run as a WWE champion. I don't think many of us expected Rusev to actually win the title tonight. The Rusev character has been pretty confused. Like, he was a babyface a few weeks ago, and then all of a sudden he gets the title shot on AJ, and he's a heel. He's doing weird stuff. Aiden English seemed to have cost him the match a little bit. Aiden took the turnbuckle off, and then Rusev banged his head into the exposed steel, and that allowed AJ to kind of take control and eventually hit the phenomenal forearm for the pin. So they kind of tease at the end that Rusev is mad at Aiden English. I could see them feuding next. You know, it's nothing great for Rusev, but it's a match for SummerSlam, maybe for the pre-show. But it seems like the Aiden English-Rusev breakup is on the way.
Yeah, it's happening. And they've teased that before, and then they kind of shied away from it, like having English be the weak link. But it's weird that they turned Rusev like such like a super heel in the last few weeks, because the fans are still chanting for Rusev Day. Like, it's still really popular with the fans, but they just really want to make him a heel against AJ, which is kind of strange. They could have had like more be a feud between two tweeners to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
So they tried to make Russo just full on heel, and
This
the
feud-
fans didn't respond to it.
This feud was not very good.
No,
It was not very
very
good.
forced.
People were saying that Samoa Joe is going to be next for AJ Styles. That makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
he wasn't
to me.
on the program. Elias wasn't on the show either, which was kind of nice. The Miz wasn't on either.
Yeah, no Miz. That was nice. No Miz.
No Miz.
We did get some Randy, but just a little bit of Randy.
No
And that was
wrestling.
weird with Randy.
Yeah.
He goes in the ring after. So Shinsuke Nakamura punches Jeff Hardy in the balls before the match even starts. And then the bell rings. Nakamura hits a Kinshasa, knee to face, 1, 2, 3, barely a match. Shinsuke wins the U.S. title. And then Randy Orton shows up. Shinsuke leaves the ring. Jeff is still in there. So Randy decides not to RKO Jeff, which would have been the normal move. Randy decides to just double leg Jeff down to the mat and stomp on his balls, showing Nakamura that he can also perform low blows. It was like a weird move from Randy. I don't know why they did that. Why not just hit the RKO and walk away? Like, it would have been less odd, and I think people would have been happier with that. People like to see Randy hit the RKO. Why did Randy come out and not hit an RKO?
Yeah, the crowd seemed really confused by that. They were like really going. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna see an RKO, and then stomped to the balls.
Yeah, and then
the music just plays, and Randy looks really serious, and you can tell by the crowd they seem pretty confused, and we were too. Shit.
really confused. But I guess Shinsuke versus Randy Orton for the U.S. title at SummerSlam is
Low
on.
match. Something
Yeah, like
It's like First Blood or something.
they should wear like a steel cup.
Yeah.
They have steel cup matches. They have a steel ball protector on during the match, so if you punch the guy in the balls, their hand hurts. That should be the gimmick. Stupid.
I could see that actually happening. Like Shinsuke goes for a low blow on Randy at their match, and like Randy's wearing some sort of like protective thing, and like Shinsuke's like, ah, and
Can
that
you
allows
bel-
him to be RKO'd. I
Can you
could definitely see
believe-
that finish.
Can you believe that Nakamura's gimmick is still punching guys in the balls? Like, he did that whole long thing with AJ where he kept punching AJ in the balls. It happened repeatedly. And then here tonight, again, he's punching people in the balls. This has become his gimmick. Not since the late, great China has somebody in the WWE been associated more with punching people in the balls.
Didn't Sable do it? Will continue. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You know, he loves bathroom humor, like you were saying on the show. This is kind of bathroom humor, getting hit in the balls. You know, and the
Yeah.
You know, well, it's making a comeback. It's the new distraction finish.
Antoinette thinks Drew McIntyre will wrestle Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. What does Roman do at SummerSlam? If Bobby's
Good
got
idea.
Brock,
Drew McIntyre's an idea. It seems like they're really pushing. Like this whole Dolph Ziggler push is more about Drew McIntyre. Like he's the Batista of this group. Like they're eventually gonna feud one day. It's all about making Drew McIntyre into a bigger single star.
why
This whole
wouldn't they
partnership.
do Seth versus McIntyre and Dolph defending the Intercontinental title against Roman, though?
Yeah, it could be.
I could see that, too.
Yeah. Either way, fatal 4-way, tag team match, any combination of those guys. Could see them working.
Paul says Dolph and Drew remind him of Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Yeah, except the fact that Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and Dolph Ziggler is Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels had a lot more charisma too.
And Diesel is a way better version of Drew McIntyre. He's bigger, way more charisma. He invented the whole too sweet thing. I mean, come on. And what has Drew McIntyre ever invented?
I don't know.
Nothing. Nothing. Don't turn your back on the Wolf Pack. I mean, come on. Kevin Nash? You can't
Big
compare
Sexy.
Drew McIntyre to Kevin Nash. Big Sexy? I mean, come on.
Big Daddy Cool.
Big Daddy Cool Diesel. He says he's not comparing their career, just to look at them together. Yeah, I know.
I get
know.
it. Yeah.
And yeah, that's what they're trying to do, but
Doesn't really work. Dolph just doesn't have it. He thinks he does. But he doesn't.
yeah, Dolph thinks he's way better than he is.
Yeah.
And I feel like people buy into it. Don't buy into it. It's
No.
not real.
It's a lot of hype.
You know who's good? Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, we have Benoit asking us to talk about Team Hell No. We haven't talked about that match yet. So Daniel Bryan and Kane get attacked before the match by the Bludgeon Brothers. Daniel Bryan goes out on his own to wrestle the Bludgeon Brothers and takes kind of a beating for a while, and then Kane shows up, but that doesn't help, and the Bludgeons wound up just kind of beating Kane up and then hitting a Doomsday Device on Daniel Bryan. It was just, I don't know, I mean, the beating before the match, like the sneak attack beating backstage, was to give a reason as to why the Bludgeons were able to beat Team Hell No.
Yeah.
Right?
Separated them.
They separated them, they beat them up, they injured Kane's leg, Kane came out later, and
He's wearing a boot.
you know, so like the Bludgeons, they cheated to win, so they won, and they also hurt Kane, so now Kane can kind of go away. This was a limited time run for Team Hell No. I felt that from the beginning. I think Daniel Bryan's going to wind up wrestling The Miz at SummerSlam. This was just a short-lived return. I think Kane is maybe almost done his wrestling career, if not completely done at this point. I think this was just a little run for Kane and Daniel Bryan for Extreme Rules, a one-off match, and now Bryan can go back to doing singles things, and Kane can go back to being the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee.
Tennessee.
You know? Benoit, he says, don't call me Benoit, Dave. He says Ben is good. Sorry. Your YouTube thing is Benoit.
I'm Ben.
He's Ben, but he's not Benoit.
No.
But I got no problem with Benoit.
That's right.
No association with Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
Who Johnny North this week, did you see that?
No, what?
You didn't see that? Johnny, so we were asked this week who our top 3 greatest wrestlers of all time were. And I said Bret Hart, Chris Jericho, and Kurt Angle. And Johnny North said Bret Hart, Chris Jericho, and Chris Benoit.
Oh, boy. Oh, John, he's just...
He just does not care.
Mean, he has his preferences.
Yeah, well, Chris Benoit was a great wrestler.
He was a great wrestler, but...
The Canadian Crippler. Fantastic. The Wolverine. The Rabid Wolverine. Remember that? That was a good nickname. For Real.
Yeah.
For Real. Remember that? Chris Benoit, For Real?
And... Never had a good t-shirt. Never had a good t-shirt.
I was a huge fan. I loved him.
Yeah, which made it all the more heartbreaking.
Yeah. Daniel is such a hard worker. I salute him. He is hard work, says Lawazi.
Yeah.
Bryan versus Miz at SummerSlam. Antoinette agrees with me. I think it's going to happen.
Miz got to promote his reality show.
Paul says he hated Shawn Michaels, wasn't a big fan of Diesel, but he loved Nash and the NWO. I agree. I was not a fan of Diesel either, but I did like Kevin Nash in WCW. Elsewhere, we had the B Team becoming the new Raw Tag Team Champions tonight, defeating the Deleters of Worlds. Bray Wyatt did get involved in the match, but didn't do too much. I wonder what his deal is.
Maybe he still got whiplash from his car accident. Still dealing with some injuries.
That match was pretty
cleared.
That match was pretty short too. It was only 8 minutes.
Yeah, and it was mostly Matt taking the heat.
Finn Balor beat Baron Corbin in about 8 minutes. Nothing really special there, but it's good to see Finn Balor win a match, you know?
With a small package.
Finn Balor should beat Baron Corbin 9 times out of 10.
Baron Corbin really looks like Chief Morley now. When he wears like the professional clothes, got the shaved head and the beard, very like early 2000s Val Venus. Like he's going, like he doesn't have the charisma.
Or the Valboski.
Or the Valboski, or the physique, but he's trying hard.
He's trying to be the new Chief Morley, but, you know, Corbin
sucks.
just not, he does not have the big Valboski. He doesn't have the moves that the great Val Venus once had. Are you doing a Val Venus dance?
I have to. You know, he's
Hello, ladies.
one of the great Canadian wrestlers. You know, you can't ignore that fact.
Gotta love Val Venus.
Toronto's own.
Toronto's own Val Venus.
Val Venus.
Sanity beat the New Day on the pre-show match. It was a tables match. It was one elimination, so Kofi went through a table and then that was it. I think it could have been a little bit more fun if everybody had to go through a table, but, you know, time constraints.
Yeah, it's a pre-show match. Don't want to take too much damage.
That's it.
Pretty nasty bump, though. Kind of like elbow drop.
Yeah.
Kind of looked like it was like a short fall for Kofi. Like he hit the table pretty hard.
Yeah, for what it was a pretty decent match. It was just kind of short.
Eric Young, another Canadian.
There you go. Alexa Bliss wound up retaining her title, the Raw Women's Championship, in that match. A lot of melee going on. You had Ronda Rousey at ringside. It was Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax in an Extreme Rules match. But Alexa had Mickie James in her corner, and Nia had Natalya. And of course, there was a lot of interference from Mickie, and Mickie and Alexa able to kind of stop Natalya. They took Natalya out, so Ronda had to get involved, and they managed to take Ronda out as well, and Alexa hitting her little DDT on Nia Jax onto a chair to get the win and retain the Raw Women's title. You know, it was kind of fun. It was a lot going on. You know, it was Nia versus Alexa, but, you know, Mickie was in there, Natty was in there, Ronda Rousey was in there. It was a whole big melee. It was kind of fun to watch. But if you think about it, Nia Jax, or rather, Alexa Bliss and Mickie James were able to outwit and take out Nia Jax, Ronda Rousey, and Natalya. I mean, 2-on-3, the heels were 2-on-3, and still managed to win, which is not really the way it's supposed to work, especially with Ronda Rousey. Kind of surprised that Ronda wasn't able to stop the evil antics of Alexa Bliss and Mickie James.
Seems like they have a lot invested in Alexa Bliss. She's a pretty highly decorated champion. You know, she doesn't have much wrestling experience beforehand, so they're really giving her a lot. It's kind of like, and she's not the best wrestler. It's kind of like the same thing with Baron Corbin and The Miz. You know, people who aren't technically the best wrestlers could put on the best matches. They get a lot of gimmicks. You know, they always get managers, people to do their dirty work for them. They got a lot of belts. They get a lot of accolades to make them look good and butter them up. So
yeah, it makes
they have a lot to invest in Alexa Bliss.
It makes the fans think you're really good, even though Alexa is, you know,
can't really cut the mustard.
She's okay, but she's not great.
No, Mickey's a much better worker.
Yeah,
and she was taking a lot of the heat tonight. Alexa didn't really take much heat at all.
Mickie was taking some rough stuff. Ronda Rousey was tossing her around. We have JJ Modesty saying, "Why is no one saying Ronda's unsafe?" You think Ronda's unsafe?
I don't think so.
I think she's rough. I don't think she's unsafe. No one's been injured at the hands of Ronda Rousey.
What's wrong with rough? I'm sure Asuka's pretty rough.
Yeah, Asuka's rough.
Yeah, she looks like she's really slapping people. And
Asuka's rough. Ronda's rough. I like women.
Natty's kind of rough.
Yeah, I like women wrestlers that are rough. I like wrestlers in general that are rough. Men and women. I like it when they're really laying it in there.
But they're not sloppy.
I think Ronda is just snug.
Yeah, she's not
and
sloppy.
That's good.
Her match with Nia was really good. It proved, I think, a lot of people wrong. Like people who had doubts about Ronda and her ability to carry a match. The fact that she was able to have a decent singles match with Nia Jax, I think.
Yeah.
And she wasn't sloppy in that match. They hit their spots pretty well.
Yeah.
Match.
Ronda's match at Money in the Bank with Nia Jax was fantastic. And I think Ronda and Alexa Bliss should be the match one-on-one at SummerSlam. But, you know, with Natty there, with Nia Jax involved.
Oh, you're going to have like a four-way. It's going to be a lot of salad dressing.
I could see it being either a tag match with like Nia and Ronda or Natty and Ronda against Alexa and Mickie. But I could also see it being Nia versus Alexa versus Ronda in a triple threat. I don't think it's going to be a four-way. I don't think Natty or Mickie get themselves into a title match, but I could see them getting themselves into a tag match if they go that way.
That's a good point. Although I'd like to see Natty in the title picture.
Yeah, but she's not going to be. I mean, let's be honest.
I know, it was wishful thinking. I thought she seemed like she was kind of getting in line. She started getting some wins.
Yeah, but...
And she was talking about how, I mean, it was the past, but it felt like her and Ronda were maybe going to get into a program.
Mickie is good. Natty is good. They're probably the two best wrestlers of the five, but they're not the ones getting the push. It's Alexa, it's Nia, it's Ronda. It's not about Mickie and Natty. They're just there to kind of prop the other three up and make sure they don't look too bad. You know, Mickie on one side, Natty on the other. They're there to make sure everything runs smoothly because they're veterans and they're experts in pro wrestling. They're there to make sure that Nia and Alexa and Ronda don't do anything too crazy or too bad and everything works well.
Yeah, they're kind of like teachers. They're like a teacher.
Yeah, they're player coaches, is what they are. Franco316 asks, is it time for a women's tag team championship belt? I think it is. I don't think it's time for a women's tag belt on both shows, but I think you could have women's tag team champions, and those champions could appear on Raw and SmackDown. I think it would make the titles special.
And there's a lot of women on the roster.
There's a lot of women, but I don't think, like, tag belts for the women on both brands, I don't think there's enough women on the roster for that.
No, but, like, it would be a good avenue for, like, a team like the Iconics, who aren't really doing anything right now. They're relatively new.
Yeah.
Them being tag champions, or Mandy and Sonya, like, teams like that, it gives them an extra kind of boost and more reason to be out there.
I guess you could do it on SmackDown.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
I think if you're going to pick a brand and keep it on one brand, it would be SmackDown.
Yeah. Because, like, Raw has... Well, they don't have the cruiserweights as much anymore.
Yeah, but Raw doesn't have a very deep women's division.
No, Raw's more the Ronda, Alexa, Nia.
I mean, it's Ronda, Alexa, Nia, but then you have Mickey and Natty and Sasha and Bailey, so...
Yeah, Sasha and Bailey weren't even mentioned at all in this pay-per-view.
But then say Sasha and Bailey are the Raw Women's Tag Team Champions. Who are their opponents?
Maybe Ember Moon and someone form a tag team. You know, is what's her name, Nikki Cross, coming up with Sanity?
I just don't think that there's.
SmackDown.
I don't think there's enough women on both rosters to have tag team titles on both rosters.
SmackDown.
I would prefer one pair of tag team champions that perform on Raw and SmackDown. Yeah. I think that would be a good idea.
You could do that. You could definitely do that. Roster is deep enough.
And Sasha says, how about a women's mid-card belt? That's not a bad idea either. Just a secondary singles belt for the women, like a women's intercontinental championship. It's not a bad idea.
You could do that. You could have like a women's tag on SmackDown and a women's intercontinental on Raw.
Yeah, you could do that.
There's a different kind of...
Or just put a women's mid-card title on both shows. You could do that too.
Either or.
You could do that too.
Yeah.
Antoinette says Dean Ambrose is back after SummerSlam. Lawazi wants to know when Dean Ambrose is coming back, and people are answering him saying after SummerSlam.
People miss Dean Ambrose? I haven't missed Dean Ambrose.
I haven't really.
Anytime I've mentioned Dean Ambrose, it's kind of like with dread, thinking like, oh, I wonder if Dean Ambrose is going to run here. Suck if Dean Ambrose showed up right now.
Paul M. Echoing your statement, he says, who cares when Dean Ambrose comes back?
Right,
Steve
Paul.
Austin exposed him, and Ambrose was never the same after that. I don't like seeing wrestlers get injured, but this was good for Dean.
Preach. That's true. That Stone Cold interview was fantastic. Really, just like playing friendly the whole time. The last 2 minutes just totally checked Ambrose. Ambrose looked totally off guard. And it was like, you got to step it up, son. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a great...
See what you're doing.
Steve Austin hasn't had a podcast on the network since then.
No, probably pissed Vince off.
I'm not a fan of Dean Ambrose in any way. Promos, wrestling, look, anything.
I remember seeing him at a house show.
He's even, like, boring on Total Divas. He's, like, not even good on Total Divas.
Remember he was going to wrestle Rob Van Dam. He, like, was back when he was with the Shield. He's making his way through the crowd. He's, like, walking, scanning the crowd, looks directly at me. I just look at him and go, you suck.
And?
He saw me.
And?
Well, he didn't really react. He was a heel. But he felt it.
He felt it. I don't think he felt it.
People thought Dean Ambrose was cool back then. So.
And you told him he sucked?
And I told him he sucked.
Wayne House says Dean Ambrose is very good.
I disagree, Wayne.
I also disagree.
Yeah. Show me a good Dean Ambrose match.
I have not seen a great Dean Ambrose match.
He's had a couple decent promos, but not really.
Yeah. Sasha says he's not believable.
No. His punches are weak. His, like, jumping elbow drop from the top rope. And he doesn't look crazy at all.
No, it's very weak stuff. Very fake-looking wrestling.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose is not my kind of wrestler.
Like, Nikki Cross, I believe she's unhinged when she's in the ring. She looks kind of nuts. Dean Ambrose could learn a thing or two from her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, Dean Ambrose should join Sanity. Or, as I like to call them, the New Oddities. Kind of have an Oddities look, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Sanity. I was not really impressed with them.
Remember this?
Yeah. Golga.
Yeah, Golga.
The Insane Clown Posse.
Was that Kurgan or Kurgan was Kurgan?
Kurgan was Kurgan. Golga was Earthquake.
That's right. Another great Canadian wrestler.
John Tenta, rest in peace. Yeah, from BC Earthquake,
West Coast.
aka the Shark.
Yeah, that's right. Making Hogan's life a living hell.
Some people like Dean Ambrose, some people don't. You know, it's the way it is. Some people like Seth Rollins, some people don't.
Yeah.
I don't really like any of those Shield guys. Never really did, and I still don't. I want to wrap this thing up. Any final questions out here? We're gonna start wrapping this sucker up.
It's getting late.
It's getting late here. We got things to do. We got places to be. It's been a long day. France World Cup victory.
Yeah. Still gotta go party.
Wayne House wants to know, will Balor get a push?
Maybe.
Depends what you consider a push. Will he beat guys like Baron Corbin? Yup. Will he beat guys like Kevin Owens? Maybe. Will he beat Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or Brock Lesnar? Will he ever get a shot at Brock Lesnar? Highly unlikely. Ben wants to know, what's the plan for the Mexican former NXT champ who beat Sin Cara? He's talking about Andrade Cien Almas. I don't know what the plan is for him right now, but I just know that he's tranquilo and he's very good, and I'm a big fan. I'm not sure what they're doing with him, but just keep watching. Watch out for him, because he's a very, very talented wrestler who should do big things in the WWE. He's one of the founding members of Los Ingobernables. He revitalized the career of Tetsuya Naito. And if you know anything about Tetsuya Naito, you know he's big in the game. So, Andrade Cien Almas has a lot of street cred as far as pro wrestling goes.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid. I think he's in line for a big push. But he could also be a Cesaro, where, you know, he's a solid worker, but just never gets to go up to that next level. I see that also happening with him.
I don't know. I think he's got more personality than Cesaro, and it's going to help him get to the next level.
I hope so. I really hope so.
All right, so Sasha said it. We'll see everybody on Friday for the Wrestling Uncensored pre-show, where we're going to make a major announcement about the future of the Wrestling Uncensored pre-show this coming Friday. So definitely tune into our YouTube channel Friday around noon, 12:30 Eastern Time. Myself and Johnny North will be here for the Wrestling Uncensored pre-show, and a major announcement to come. WrestlingUncensored.net is our website. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. There's nowhere to follow you with.
No, you can't find me.
You can't follow him.
Parts unknown.
He's got like no Twitter, no Instagram, no nothing.
I'm off the grid.
He's younger than me, and he has none of these things. I don't know why. He's like an old man at heart. It's very strange.
I understand this new technology.
Yeah, he's got a cell phone, but like
I just use it to make calls and texts.
it's weird.
I have no apps.
He's got no apps. He's got no Instagram.
No, I don't know what that is.
He's got no Twitter. He's got nothing.
No. I only just recently found out what "don't at me" means. And it was not at all what I thought it meant.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for checking in with us. Antoinette, thank you as always, Antoinette. We really appreciate you always checking in and the support. JJ Mondesi as well. I see you a lot around here, my man. Ben Dussault, you know, we've been seeing you for years, man. Thanks for checking in tonight. Sasha as well, my man. You know, a lot of you check in a lot on these shows, and we appreciate it. We appreciate seeing you time and time again. You keep coming back. Shows the power of the Wrestling Uncensored universe, and we appreciate each and every one of you. We really do. Wayne House, a new man checking in. Good to see you. Lawazi, thanks for checking in. Franco, we see you. Paul M, I haven't seen you before. You're not Paul Mead, are you? I don't think so. It's not Paul Mead, right?
I thought it was.
It's not Paul Mead.
But like he knows too much about Dean Ambrose.
He knows
Paul Mead.
Yeah, he knows too much about pro wrestling to be
Big
Paul
shout
Mead.
out Paul Mead.
Shout out to Paul Mead, but that's not you, Paul
Perez?
M. You're a different guy. So everybody checking in and watching, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking in on the YouTube chat. Lawazi says it's his first time. He enjoyed it. He'll come back. So thank you, Lawazi, making new members of the Wrestling Uncensored universe every single day. Check me out, Twitter and Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. This has been the Extreme Rules post-show.